With me in the studio, Dr. Eytan Cohen, Yanarocak. He's a Turkey expert at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. Thank you very much for being with us, Eytan. Great to talk to you. This has been brewing for a while now, hasn't it? This hostility inside Turkey to the very vast numbers of Syrian refugees. There have even been calls to deport them back to a war zone. Seeing these images of Syrians burning Turkish flags is hardly going to help that.
Of course. First of all, I would like to recall that last year, when we had the Turkish general elections, the xenophobia, the Syrian refugees, they occupied the most important headlines. For instance, the two different political leaders, Ümit Özdağ and Sinan Oğan's presidential campaigns, also the election campaigns, were mostly focused on the Syrian refugee issue. And today we are seeing once again the city of Kayseri, which is located in central Anatolia, is very much populated with the Syrian refugees. Once again, with this incident, unfortunately, the streets have turned into the focus of the violent clashes between the two sides. Actually, it was more of a kind of a one-sided pogrom. We can name it as a pogrom, and actually the cars and the properties of the Syrian refugees were
they
very
burned
much
people's homes, they burned cars, they burned businesses.
And the Syrians in Syria, they tried to retaliate when they stoned the Turkish trucks, etc. But I think when we are looking at the larger picture, we should understand that this is not connected from the latest statements of the Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, that he will be willing to mend the fences with the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad.
Erdogan was one of the fiercest critics of Bashar al-Assad, wasn't he? Right back when Assad began murdering his own people. What has changed? Why is he now seeking to
The 7th of October, the Turkish Foreign Ministry unfortunately adopted a very anti-Israel stance, and they would like to be a key player in Lebanon. And to become a key player in Lebanon, they first have to mend their fences with the Syrians and then with Hezbollah, and maybe even they will be trying to get a key role in the peacekeeping force UNIFIL. They may increase their presence in the peacekeeping force so that they would be acting as a shield for the Lebanese, for the Hezbollah terrorist organization. So this is, it's not only my theory, it's everywhere.
This is part of a broader shift in the region.
And I think that the Syrian opposition people who are not willing to go back to Assad's control, they are seeing all of these, and I think these riots, this pogrom that we have seen in the city of Kayseri is the only excuse that they withdrew the Turkish flags in key points in northern Syria, etc.
Let me bring in Dan Perry. Is this something Israel should be worried about? Two of its biggest enemies, Erdogan's Turkey and Assad's Syria, coming together and joining forces?
I think so, and of course Israel does not want Turkey to become a major player in Lebanon. Israel rather wants Lebanon to find a way to impose and implement 1701, which pulls Hezbollah back from the border. It's extremely unlikely Turkey, I think, would be a positive player towards that outcome, which is really the only outcome I can see that will prevent a conflagration in the north.
And of course, we have to talk about the United States in all of this. We've just seen a somewhat shocking performance by the leader of the free world, US President Joe Biden, in that debate with Donald Trump last week. I mean, what message does that send to strong men like Erdogan?
I got to say this: if Trump returns to power and brings about a world where values are not a factor and everything is transactionalism, on top of which Trump clearly has great sympathy for dictators and despots and antipathy towards America's allies.
But Trump aside, Trump's not in power. Even
that
without
encourages,
Trump, Joe Biden's in power for now.
That will encourage
how will that performance
authoritarians? Look, I think when America looks weak this way, the axis of evil, for lack of a better word, is emboldened. And it creates a more unpredictable a situation where America is not seen as likely to take significant, speedy action. On the other hand, Biden has been pretty good about surrounding himself with fairly capable deputies. And so realistically, America is not incapacitated. But the debate performance certainly does make it look like Biden is, and that's a problem.
Hi, Eytan. I just want to bring it back to Turkey, because yesterday, of course, we had that rather alarming story where an El-Al flight was forced to divert to Turkey, wasn't allowed to refuel, as we understand it, and ended up having to go to Greece. Do you have any update on that? Has it been covered in the Turkish press?
Well, it was partially covered, partially censored. In the real time, they preferred not to cover it. You could only look after this incident in the Israeli press. And only when the plane departed to Greece, some outlets began to report about this issue, but they did everything not to put the spotlight on it. And I also would like to make here a comment. This is unfortunately, a new law for the Israeli-Turkish relations, and also a new law for the Turkish behavior towards Israel, because at the end of the day, it was an emergency landing. It was the landing itself was conducted because of medical purposes, and later they even did not refuel the plane so that the plane could depart from Antalya to Israel. I would like to remind you, Antalya is considered as a very important tourist destination for the Israeli tourists. It's not an unknown spot for the Israelis. When the relations were good, in good shape, approximately in a week, more than 20 flights were made between Tel Aviv and Antalya. We had direct flights, and what we have seen, that the plane took off from Antalya to Greece and not even Cyprus because of the Cypriot-Turkish problems of unrecognition.
Turkey is occupying part of Cyprus.
Yeah, so the plane took off to Rhodes, and from Rhodes to Israel. Why? I mean, we are all sharing this Eastern Mediterranean.
It seems a long time ago we were talking about shared projects for East Mediterranean gas.
Yes, and that gas projects were not realized because of this mistrust that we are seeing today. So
there is a great deal at stake.
So unfortunately, the ones who did not proceed with the gas projects, they were right.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for now. Okay.
Thank you.